So that'll bring us into our guest tonight, and our guest tonight is CamerAn, who is, as he mentioned, a planning specialist with Ramsey County and the Statewide Health Improvement Partnership, which is SHIP. And he's here to give us an introduction into the county urban agricultural community resources that they have. So, CamerAn, I'll pass it over to you. Do you have a presentation you want to share, or I
Yes,
think,
please, if I could share
yeah,
my
I think
cam
that's you.
slideshow.
You can't do it. Right, let me
Let's
see.
see.
Oh,
Just
hold
sent a
on.
request.
Yep. All right, you should be good now. Let me know.
Okay. We are good.
All right.
Beautiful. Folk can see the screen?
Yep. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. See, as I said, I guess I just said everything that's here on the title slide. Just a little bit of context. The reason my role exists is because the county adopted a food security strategic plan back in December 23. As a part of that, one of the priorities was to hire someone full time to support urban agriculture in the county, primarily to support urban ag through long-term and equitable land access by prioritizing the usage of policy and planning, zoning, ordinance levers. So my background is in community development, planning, finance, policy. Um, I'm a planner, so zoning and ordinances is a language I'm fairly fluent in. So that's the highest level I could put it. That strategic plan came out of a food security needs assessment that my predecessor colleague, Carissa Dillon, led. I think it's like a year and a half, 2 year effort. So as a part of doing a countywide food security needs assessment, three or four key priorities came out of that assessment, which really guide the county's food security strategic plan. You may have noticed that plan said 24 to 25. We're now in 26. So that is why my title was previously Urban Ag Coordinator, and now it is Community Food Access because I'm now on the SHIP team. Community food access is a SHIP term versus before we were more focused explicitly on urban ag, which you'll see here on the screen on the right side, priority three, build urban ag. So those were the four charges that came out of the food security needs assessment, which informed the food security strategic plan. Um, this is one of the things that came out of my work in that first year, year and a half, which I was directed to take stock of what our assets as it pertains to urban ag across the county. Um, some of these so I mean, we scrap about 83 community-based organizations, government, state agencies, different coalitions, collaboratives, and kind of organized them by these big kind of asset categories. Um, and yeah, that's how we kind of organize those. So you can kind of see it's maybe misleading. The areas we're most represented in are kind of the areas of the greatest need in urban ag, as I heard from folk, which are land access, technical assistance, convening, networking, advocacy, infrastructure, and education. Um, so on one hand, it's like, oh, great, that's where we have the most organizations providing those roles, but also that's because those areas where the greatest need was most commonly expressed across organizations. This is a snapshot of more or less what we were able to do in those 2 years. Oh, did I freeze? Okay. This is a snapshot of more or less what we're able to do in those first 2 years, which informs what I've been doing this year. So we identified how many communal growing spaces do we have in the county? We have over 130 right now. When I came on board, we had 52 identified. We didn't grow 70 of them in the year and a half I put this together. A lot of them were already existing. We just didn't have anyone committed to counting them, cataloging them. In total, they comprise about 40 acres of land across the county. At least 13 cities in the county have at least one communal growing space. We distribute a lot of seeds, a lot of flyers, seed growing info cards, making folk aware that the county had someone in this role to be a resource. We still do the compost delivery program. Um, and yeah, each year we deliver between 400 and 500 cubic yards, um, uh, generally to between 30 and 40 community gardens. This year we hit, I think it was 52 gardens, so almost half the gardens in the county. It's a free service we continue to provide, and that's for new and existing gardens. I also say we deliver them to pollinator gardens, re-emerging prairies or conservation areas, a food forests. We helped out Vadnais Heights is the most recent one we helped. They just put in a food forest on their municipal campus. Community farms, community gardens, community orchards, function communal spaces that are supporting the health and well-being of the environment and people. So if you have other ideas what that could mean, feel free to ask me on the back end of this presentation. Um, yeah, we had 50 grand we were able to put out over a 2-year period. The budget is greatly reduced now, but I still have some funds available. They're allocated through this year, but now's the best time of year to start talking about projects for next year. Um, we launched our first urban ag community consultants cohort. So hired on folk already working at the intersection of urban ag and food security in Ramsey County to be thought collaborators with me and elevate the historical context and institution member of people beyond myself. Yeah, test soil across the county, develop municipal zoning best practices for community gardens and foraging and edible landscaping and public spaces. We developed our first State of Urban Ag report, which I'll show you on our website how you can find that and other resources. And then still run the monthly listserv, of which I'll get to here in a second, what that generally entails. And literally 1 second later, here are the resources we provide. So we want to work from the bottom up, since that's what I just referenced. The monthly newsletter, that includes volunteer opportunities for soliciting, recruiting, and promoting. Recruitment to different advisory bodies, working committees, people looking to start new gardens or farms, people looking for help support, general information sharing, reports, like studies, grant opportunities, workshops, educational events, conferences from and across the metro. Um, and so, if there's anything y'all ever trying to do, like a big planting day or harvesting day, or looking for people to help like process and preserve food or run culinary, preservation classes, whatever. Um, it's a pretty good resource to help get the word out. And I collaborate with, I think, 6 different monthly newsletters across the county and metro. So we really cross-pollinate each other's work and opportunities. Free consulting and organizational management and decision-making models. So I met a lot of our different communal growing spaces, and they're almost all ran somewhat uniquely unto themselves. Not putting a value judgment on any of them, but there's a lot of different models out there. Free convening and organizing of growers coalitions in support of shared policy needs. So in City of Roseville right now, we're working, they organize all their Lutheran churches that have a giving garden component or are interested in doing one. And they're like, we want to work together as a coalition. City, can you help us kind of organize ourselves so we can be in a longer term partnership with like a food shelf or a couple food shelves, so we're not all working so independently of each other. So that's the most recent one we started supporting that speaks to that. Of course, free consulting on land access and partnership models. I literally just got another call today. I may actually be following up with y'all because someone's like, I have 5 properties that either used to be growing spaces or it could be. I'd love to let people use them. And so that's kind of the vision of this role, connecting land, people, community, especially for those who are being good stewards of the earth, the people growing the plants, caring for the earth, and then providing to those in need. Connection support requesting grant dollars. So my budget right now is generally around 25K a year. Some of the projects we're supporting right now are um, a farm, urban farm adjacent to a food shelf for a long-term partnership between the farmer and the food shelf and the community itself. Other ones include a more innovative, low impact, high efficiency irrigation system, as well as being more accessible across different age and abilities, so more people can leverage their time and ability to help care for the space. And there's others as well. And some of the other ones I hit as well. So we do seed distributions kind of year round through our different partners of the county, compost and delivery, soil health management consulting through our soils naturalist over at Ramsey County Parks and Natural Resources. It's a really nice partnership where she'll administer soil testing, help develop soil health management plans in partnership with Extension. And then some of those plans will recommend more compost or less compost or biochar or cover cropping. So we provide seeds and resources for those things. Um, yeah, so I think that's a good snapshot of like big picture, kind of most of the types of resources we provide. This other one we didn't provide, kind of walked into it as a food security strategic plan was sunsetting. An opportunity arose around this really big block grant program that the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency got from the US EPA. In function, what it is I'm stewarding a metro-wide um, climate smart food systems network. So this is pulling in folk from growers, ranchers to aggregators, distributors, warehouses, retailers, and then food waste prevention on the back end, kind of like the full closed loop of the food system in the metro region. And then we coordinate with other regions across the state. The goals of the grant, as it were written, are to bring together our food system compatriots and actors, get them on the same page and identify how we want to work together to realize more food sovereign and more vibrant local food economy that realizes these goals: improving food security, strengthening food sovereignty, expand local food economies, unlock low-income disadvantaged communities' economic prosperity, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So that's an ongoing network. We just finished our first year. We had our big annual convening yesterday. We still have 2 more years on the grant, and that's for convening. This grant is part of like a $230 million grant. So there's literally millions of dollars that are going to become available over the next 2 years that we want to apply for as this network of networks, really. So there's absolutely place and spaces for folk like y'all to be a part of that. We're really trying to encourage organizations, communities applying as shared applicants, um, rather than encouraging kind of business as usual of the same number of organizations applying for the same small pots of money. Really trying to incentivize more collaboration in our grant making spaces. And then I kind of hit a lot of these. I'll probably stop on this slide and open up for questions. We're doing a community-based research project with Cura right now, the Center for Urban Regional Affairs. Doing a big foraging survey. I think we ended up with 180 respondents for folk who forage in green spaces across Ramsey County to inform how Ramsey County and cities should um, change their foraging policies to be more inclusive of, supportive of healthy, sustainable foraging that serves community food needs and supports healthy ecologies. Um, One of those land access RFPs ended up falling through, but the second one, working with the food shelf, that one still is moving forward. The third one here, that's the one I just talked about, Climate Smart Food Systems Network. Fourth one, we're kind of right in the middle of the stream right now for comprehensive plan update. Um, Advising to the Met Council. There's a new policy requirement requiring all cities and counties across the metro to adopt policies to support the local food economy, which is really exciting, really elevating our work at the county to the metro level. And yeah, I think other things I mentioned here, working with our soil health naturalists and networking our local food systems. So there we go. Yeah, that was the last one. Questions. I'm sure there's so many because I went through that so slow that you're able to soak it all in immediately, I'm sure.
And so to ground this into our work a little more too, we do get compost delivered almost every year from the county. CamerAn's our contact in that for our gardens over by the fairground. Jessica may have utilized that for some of the other plantings we've done in South Como. But we definitely.
There's some on Midway Parkway too, compost.
Yeah.
There.
The flower gardens on the
Yeah.
Midway Parkway, and CamerAn helped us get our soil tested for free at our garden a few years ago, and then just had some other spaces in South Como tested. And if we were ever going to take the leap of a new garden space, we would be working closely with Cameron, by navigating some of those processes too, I'm sure. Oh, Dana, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just curious when you mentioned this food forest in Vadnais Heights. I just Googled it briefly and I just maybe I'm behind and not knowing that these exist, and I think it's really cool. I was just wondering if you could briefly explain how access to that works and what the expectation of how that will work day to day, what that looks like.
Man, there, I think it's a kind of an ongoing, evolving thing. So Vadnais Heights is the only city in the county that has, I mean, they have the most progressive foraging ordinance of all the cities, including Ramsey County itself. Ramsey County does have a foraging ordinance for county parks. Vadnais Heights allow foraging of all plant parts, so like roots, leaves, stems, branches, fungi, berries, nuts, all that. And that came about because residents have organized over years around environmental stewardship and seeing foraging a part of actual, like, basic citizens taking part in environmental management. So rather than viewing foraging as something that degrades the environment, viewing foraging as a community resource tool to co-manage the ecosystem. And they were able to bring on an environmental specialist in response to that resident demand to really support those wants and needs. And then that same group, people kept gathering momentum. They're like, actually, we want to like make foraging more easy and accessible. And we'd like the city to take leadership on that by putting a food forest in on the municipal campus as a symbol of like, we support this with our own land and resources. And so it's right off the northwest corner of the kind of big walking loop trail around the municipal campus. I think are having their opening. It's either tomorrow or next week. Um, yeah, I remember I couldn't make it. And yeah, the idea is they're putting signage up as well, and then like doing tours, educating the public. So the idea being less that, like in Ramsey County, you have to call first, get a permit from park staff before you go forage, because the park system's over 6,000 acres, and there may be areas that are being treated to remove invasive species. Versus this food forest is only a food forest, so it's not getting sprayed with any herbicides, pesticides. So it's safe to harvest from any time. So that was their intention there. But basically, like, yeah, let's put up signage, encourage, promote, make it easier for people to forage and do so in a sustainable manner from day one.
That's really cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
You got it. And there's a couple in St. Paul too. Frogtown Green, which is now called Human Nature off of Pierce Butler. They put one in, I think it was last summer or 2 summers ago. And then Pilgrim Baptist, they also put one in, I believe, last year.
I do know people in foraging Como for mulberries or something.
Oh, yeah, which is good.
Yeah, so, but I don't know if that's, I'm sure that's, if you know it, you do it.
I've seen people foraging the ginkgo seed off the tree right here. Stick them through to the smelly parts.
Yeah, and our digital survey we just closed. We were just debriefing on it today, and the researcher running it, he's like, "Yeah, I mean, probably a good like 40% of the locations are in regional or municipal parks, but a good like half to 60% are just in residential neighborhoods, like in the public right of way, or on people's like own private properties in their yards. So yeah, those, you're walking on the sidewalk and you see the sidewalk stain. You're like, oh, it must be a mulberry tree, like that sort of instance, or like, the public crab apple tree that no one wants them. Um, yeah, which was interesting for sure. We weren't expecting that one. But that's why we're transitioning to in-person foraging groups, so we can marry some qualitative along with a qualitative data gathering, and we explicitly prioritize ensuring we at least met the population representation for Native American, Latino, Latina, Black African American, and Hmong Southeast Asian communities, as those are our biggest racial demographic groups. minority groups in the county.
Is there a calendar of typical foraging time periods in Minnesota, i.e. the mulberries are in July? Something is in June, something's in May. Is there a calendar of like typical things that people would forage or?
Yeah, I've definitely seen some. I want to say I saw one most recently on somewhere deep in the extension archives for University of Minnesota. I've also seen similar ones on plant identification or foraging walks with like Dream About Health. Um, Definitely a couple Native American organizations. But then we have a decent number of foraging, wildlife preservation groups where I've seen a lot more like kind of informal ones printed out. Like you're saying, it's like, all right, Juneberry season and cherry season, mulberry. Now we're doing in the raspberry season, gooseberries, that currants. Um, so yeah, that's something I would put my intern on. Our interns are coming up to speed right now. I think that'd be a really cool idea. Oh, that's what I didn't show. Our website. And say a great place to house that would be on our website. Do I have time to pull that up real quick?
Yeah, you have some time. Yeah, we can give you a couple more minutes.
Okay. So there we go. Alrighty. So this is the landing page. It's right on the nose for the topic to make it easy for folk to find. You scroll down, you'll see your resources for community gardens. Really, we should rewrite it as communal growing spaces because it's more expansive than that. So general resources, I said, like seeds, seedlings, mulch, compost, how to access water for your gardens. We partner with Ramsey Washington Recycling Energy a lot, especially on the gleaning, food waste recovery side of things. Access to land, that'll get you to our interactive property map. So if someone's trying to find, hey, is there an existing communal growing space near where I live? This is probably, not probably, it is the most up-to-date comprehensive map to help you find at least a nearby growing space. And just click that link. Yeah, you can browse the garden locations, the cities that have actual information on their web pages for community you live in. And then like general resources for different things. But going down the bottom, like soil, water, tools. So research, policy work and research. So this is like a lot of the zoning report stuff, our state of urban ag, local government guidance for land access policies, and then different research projects from a few different graduate student groups we worked with over the last few years. Um, so yeah, creating an edible landscape, for example, one of those. So what you just referenced, that'd be this is probably where I would put that. I would log it in down here. But we want to make sure I put y'all onto this. And for signing up for our newsletter, it's right here. This will always have way more up-to-date information than the website itself.
Right, do we have any last questions for Cameron today?
I just wanted to mention one thing that we're trying to follow and find meaningful ways to plug into is the rollout of some federal legislation from last year that's gutting a lot of food programs. And I know one way that urban ag can help support that is like programs like Grow a Row, like Como Park Lutheran has a program called Grow a Row that can get vegetables right from people's gardens to the food shelves. And so as you're doing your work, just anything like that or other ways that you can identify that an organization like ours and the sorts of things that we do could possibly support some of those snap cuts and things like that, just please feel free to reach out and plug us in.
Yes. Okay. I will share a document with y'all. I think what you just referenced, that definitely falls under the policies we're adopting for to recommend to the council, the Met Council, um, as potential policy actions for all cities across the whole metro area. And one of those explicitly was about cities encouraging and educating the public on the requirements and the preferences of nearby food shelves for the donation of fresh produce, and a separate one for like food recovery. And that's one of my colleagues, Andrea. Her focal point is working with our food shelves in the county to get them on the same page, at least at the minimum level, for the standards that they want the public to be aware of for donating produce. So it's not such a scatter shot, a different process everyone you come to. If we can at least have the same minimum level of or standard of like quality and food handling safety. So love that. Please feel free to share any ideas on that point because we're receiving them and we're elevating them to the Met Council and the PCA as a part of the Green Step Cities program.
All right, well, thank you, Cameron, for sharing with us tonight. I, for one, obviously, I think everybody in the board knew about the community gardens since we have some in the neighborhood, but I didn't know about some of the other growing forests and things that are going on. So it's really cool to hear about all that stuff and all the resources available. So yeah, appreciate you joining us tonight and sharing your work with us. So yeah, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thanks, y'all.